So just to get us started today, we're going to have an introduction of our presenters. We have Steve Showalter with ScanForce and Bill Gossett with MAPADOC. And they are going to just take a quick minute to tell you a little bit about themselves and their companies before we get started on the presentation of the integrated solution.
All right, thanks, Darcy. Everyone, this is Steve over at ScanForce. Just a quick rundown. We didn't want to take a ton of time today. I don't want to say boring you guys, but getting into the details of everything we do, but we also wanted to hit on that. And in general, you know, ScanForce offers automated solutions for the Sage 100 world, be it our mobile sales and into our WMS and manufacturing automations. And we have solutions that are as simple as people just wanting to receive items in from scanning and print labels to then shipping them out and maybe count them, all the way to complex solutions dealing with containers coming in from overseas, dealing with multi-bin. That allows us to do things like directed picking, split picking, wave picking, a lot of very cool things, and also dealing with pallets then too, and all the way into the manufacturing, automating manufacturing processes that people do in Sage. Now, as far as today is concerned, we're going to focus more on that picking and shipping side of our solution and specifically how that works with the MAPADOC product. So on that note, I'm going to kick it over to Bill here.
Yeah, so thanks, Steve. And hey, guys, this is Bill Gossett from the MAPADOC side. So if you're not familiar with MAPADOC, we really, at the end of the day, provide EDI integrations for Sage customers, meaning we're able to help automate their EDI transactions, whether that's with a customer, or a supplier, or a 3PL, in and out of the Sage system, so our customers do not have to perform it manually. So we have, you know, dedicated implementation and development teams in-house that, you know, really what our focus is full service. So where our clients do not need to, there's two ways we look at it. Our clients, one, do not, you know, want to be EDI experts, nor do they have the time to do it. At the end of the day, it's very niche, and at the end of the day, and typically it's a requirement to do business. So our approach with our customers is full service, meaning we take everything on for them, so they don't need to become EDI experts. You know, at the end of the day, that's what we do on behalf of our clients. So Darcy, if you want to go to the next slide, please. Perfect. So just from an agenda standpoint, you know, Steve hit it, you know, perfectly. Really, what we really want to focus on today is, you know, as it relates to warehousing, EDI, and talking about the challenges of not integrating those both. There's certainly challenges with not integrating warehousing or not, you know, integrating EDI specifically or on their own. But what we have been finding with a lot of our customers over the years is there's specific challenges they're having when they're not, you know, they have one of each, but they're not integrating them together when that capability is there. So what we'll do is just go through a quick high level of the workflow around the Sage 100 integrated process with the ScanForce and MAPADOC ASN picking, so you can just kind of get a sense of what the day in the life looks like. And then, like Darcy said at the beginning, kind of just discuss some, or leave some time open for some Q&A from the audience. So, you know, if you're familiar with EDI, first, I'm sorry, because, you know, and I'm, you know, half joking, but, you know, if you are having to, you know, be compliant in some sort of EDI capacity today or expect to be in the future, you know, I think it's just important to kind of talk about, you know, what happens when EDI is not integrated within Sage 100, because there are multiple ways of doing it. At the end of the day, in most cases, EDI is a requirement to do business with your customer. You heard me mention earlier that, you know, we have some customers trading EDI with their supplier communities or with, you know, 3PLs, things of that nature. But really, at the end of the day, it comes down to customer requirements. And if you're wanting to trade with a big box retailer or a large buying organization, EDI is typically the mechanism that you have to be compliant with to trade business. And, you know, first and foremost with EDI, you can go in and say, hey, listen, I just need to be compliant, right, at the end of the day, and get set up on a non-integrated platform where you access basically a web portal to pull down the orders manually into them, and vice versa with shipping, invoicing, cash receipts, things of that nature. And that, you know, what we found in doing this over 25 years, that works well for our clients when the volume's low or the revenue is low with that specific customer. Because again, at the end of the day, people aren't raising their hand to say, hey, listen, I would love to do EDI. It's, hey, listen, I'm raising my hand because my customer is telling me I need to do it. So what we find is from an integrated standpoint, and when EDI is not integrated within Sage 100, where typically customers run into issues is when they see increased volume, increased changes, increased engagement by their customers in regards to being EDI compliant. And then integration just solves the manual entry component of it and the reducing of errors. At the end of the day, when you have that human involvement, that the possibility of that goes up, right? So what happens when EDI is not integrated? You're exposed to where you either have to hire additional resources to manage that, and then look out for, and we'll talk about this here in a little bit, is possible chargebacks around data integrity, especially around the shipping process. So I think that will be perfect as we kind of walk through how ScanForce and MAPADOC not only automates the picking of it, the sending out of the information, but combining the two so the information gets sent out the right way. So with that, Steve, I'll toss it over to you for the next slide.
Perfect. Thanks, Bill. So there's two main themes that I see and we've seen over the years when somebody has a WMS system and it's not integrated with their ERP. And it centers really around the accuracy of that data and then the efficiency of it. What I'm talking about when I mean accuracy is if you're maintaining two databases, for example, you have your WMS outside of Sage and then you're dealing with Sage 100. The data needs to be accurate there. If you're handling your purchasing and then you're invoicing through your ERP, but then you're maintaining inventory levels and whatnot throughout your WMS outside of your ERP system, it's very easy for that to become inaccurate. In order to make that more accurate then, that's where people lose efficiencies. You're having someone doing things twice, recording that I received this over here in my WMS, but then having to make sure that gets back over to my ERP system to close out purchase orders then. And on the outbound side of things, you have your orders, and then you need to make sure that the actual invoices and the shipping transactions and the records and everything get put back into your database properly. So it's really about accuracy and efficiencies there. And as Bill hit on, the resources devoted to making sure those things are right, we really streamline things by having those two integrated together. So Darcy, if you want to hit the next slide then. So really quickly touching on this, kind of the common themes that both Bill and I talked about there. What happens if WMS and EDI now aren't integrated together? Let's say you have an EDI integrated with your ERP and your WMSs as well, but they're not talking to each other. Once again, some of those common themes of the inaccuracies. A lot of times it's a separate area where you need to go to enter in information as far as how items were packaged together and what items were actually went out the door there, and doing that duplicate data entry where maybe it's recorded here on the scanner, and it goes into, for example, in Sage into shipping data entry, but then you also need to now do the duplicate data entry back in your EDI system to generate ASNs and whatnot. So having those two working together allows for that accuracy and efficiency that the two solutions bring together. All right, so now I'm going to start off and show you the ScanForce side of this, and then once I'm done here, I'm going to pass it on over to Bill, and he's going to show you the Sage side. One second here, guys. All right, can everybody see the emulation of the scanner here on my screen? Darcy, can you guys see that?
Yes, sir.
All right, so guys, what I wanted to clean up the background with the all the icons here, and I don't see that view, so you guys will have to bear with me here on the, let me see if I can do that really quickly here. There we go. All right, so what you're looking at here is an emulation of what the ScanForce screens look like on mobile devices. Our solution runs on any device. If you have an iPhone or an iPod that you want to run this on, that's fine. Most often we see people utilizing devices that are specifically designed for warehouse use, and those are all Android based from, Zebra, for example. Bottom line is though, the ScanForce solution looks the same no matter what device you would run this on. And what this is our main login screen. So ScanForce doesn't take up additional Sage licenses or anything. This user login is tied back to a ScanForce user where we can actually control who does what on a device. And we also have the ability to track who's doing what for reporting purposes and efficiency reporting in terms of performance as well per user. So to make this short and simple here, I'm just going to tap accept and log in. And this is our main menu. Very clean, very easy to navigate, and very fast. That's one of the other things that we've done is over the years, we've worked very hard on making sure our solutions run extremely quick and are extremely stable. Another important factor into our solutions here is we do require and utilize an RF connectivity for our solution, but we don't require someone to have a constant connection to this, which is very important in a warehouse where if your network goes down, for example, or your internet's slow, that's not anything that's going to really impact the use of ScanForce. Obviously, to transmit data back and forth, you would need to have that connection restored, but it's not going to slow down or stop transactions out in the warehouse. So getting back into this main menu, you can see we have inventory, transactions, utilities, order processing, and manufacturing. For the purposes of today, I'm going to tap on order processing. And this can be customized per user when you log in, so you only see what you're dealing with here. I have quite a few transactions set up here as far as the actual picking and shipping side of things. You can stage orders with our software without generating the invoice. You can also then check orders that have already been staged or just do a one-step shipping. This one is the one obviously tied into the MAPADOC solution. So people utilizing that solution wouldn't ordinarily see some of the other transactions here. I'm going to launch that transaction. And the first thing our solution wants to know is which order am I going to go ahead and pick or ship here? So this is where I now have an order in my system. I need to go get these items now. And I want to make sure they are the right items then. And with a tap of a button, I just want to get them seamlessly back into my MAPADOC solution there. So what a lot of people will do is, to this day, they still print off a lot of times a barcoded pick sheet. You can scan the barcode there. You also have the ability to key in the order number, or our live lookup connects up and lists out all of my orders that are in my Sage system. Now, in that search box up top, I can search by customer name or even the order number. I'm going to simply scroll to the bottom, which you could use your finger to go ahead and scroll through on the device if you needed to as well. I highlighted that order there, and I'm going to hit accept, which will connect up to Sage and grab that data for me. Now, one of the features I have enabled here is also a directed picking. This works with and without multi-bin. And what it does is it looks to the bin location in Sage, and then it'll sort that for me by bins so that I'm not crisscrossing all over my warehouse grabbing items, walking back and forth and back and forth. Sorts them for me and orders them and displays them for me here as well. Now you notice at the top here, it defaults to package 1. So that is now going to write back to the, I believe, Bill, it's the carton back in MAPADOC, but it's packaging. You're packaging items up together, basically. Now, if you scan or key in an item that doesn't exist on this order, you get an instant data validation. That's where that accuracy comes into play here. Now, I'm also able to tap on this item here, and it'll select that item for me, or that can be disabled. If somebody has a warehouse where they don't trust the people to go ahead and tap on the screens and then still grab the right items, they want to force them to scan a barcode, we can disable this ability to tap on it from here, so you would have to scan the barcode. Now, once this item has been selected here, I'm going to go ahead and grab this and package up my item. And let's say not all this item fits into this package here. And I also, by the way, I want to mention this. I can go back. If I happen to be in a different part of the warehouse, I also can pack this in whatever order I want to. I don't have to follow this. So for example, in package 1, I wanted to put 5 of this item. I can do so. Go to package 2, and let's say I want to pack the remaining of these 5 into package 2. Grab my item. And if you'll notice, once I select an item there, I have information related to that item as it pertains to this order. So I only have 5 left. If I tried to pack the remaining 10 thinking that I hadn't picked any yet, we catch you on that as well. So that's where all the validation comes into play here as far as making sure the correct information is being captured. All right, so now that item is gone. It drops off my display here because I've picked it completely. So I'm going to grab the remaining item here. And let's say I'm going to stay in that package 2 and 5 of this item now fit in there. And now I'm going to go to package 3, and all you do is tap on that plus button, goes up to package 3, pack my remaining 10. Now that I'm done, all I have to do is send my data over, hit this paper airplane looking arrow there. It's going to show me what I've collected here. And this gives someone a chance to see if they've skipped a line, for example. They can see I have an unresolved line. And for us, an unresolved line is any line that is not completely shipped. Now, sometimes companies back order items, and that's fine. You can go ahead and do that. And when you hit send data, what it does is it'll catch you if you do have any of these unresolved lines. We've found that some people, most people, don't stop at this screen right here. They simply hit send data. So that's why we put that extra, I'll call it an actionable dialog box there. It tells you that you have unresolved lines, and you can say yes, send it in a back order, or no, and then gives you a chance to review those and correct that prior to sending back to Sage. Now I had mine completely picked here, so I'm going to send it back to my Sage system, and I'm going to pull up my Sage system here. And when I go into the MAPADOC module, that edit order package detail, which Bill's going to get into here in a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and pull this up, and you'll see here's that order that we have. And here's the package information here. So we have our 3 packages, and you have your information there related to it. And you can see when I select that, then on that one package there, you have the printer stand, that item 6655 with a quantity of 5. So we've taken care of the validation side of things, making sure that what you need to pick is in fact what's getting picked. And then with a tap of a button, we're taking care of that data entry for you. So again, it really streamlines things and makes things extremely accurate. All right, so I'm going to pass it over to Bill now so he can get into the details of MAPADOC.
Perfect. So what I'm going to do here, guys, I'm going to get this up. And Steve, unlike you, I'm old school. So I'm going to show my screen real quick. I have the old school view of Sage up and running, but it's the same concept, guys. The data comes in the same exact way. So, if you're not familiar with MAPADOC, before we get into kind of where the data is imported like Steve showed, is if you're not familiar with it, in the past, is MAPADOC is directly embedded in the Sage platform, meaning our users do not need to leave Sage to process EDI. It's not a separate interface they need to go out to import or export. We're directly within the Sage platform for all of our mappings, all of our setups, configurations, and like I mentioned before, we do all that for our clients. We have almost 500 clients today, and in most cases we take on everything for them, so they're not having to import maps, test the data. We take on everything. That's really our role because we know EDI and we know Sage. We're able to relate the two very, very well. So Matt, if you're just kind of a high-level one-on-one of what MAPADOC does. So we're able to import and export over 20 EDI documents. But in most cases, what we typically see, and if you're familiar with EDI, there's really 4 common ones. You have the order, the PO acknowledgement, the invoice, and the ASN. I mean, most of the time here we'll focus on the shipping side. But I do want to show you on the order side as well. As MAPADOC, we're able to completely automate the order process as well of coming in, and taking an EDI PO, creating a sales order in the system. We're able to send out PO acknowledgements. One thing that we do, and we want to make sure that this is important, especially around unattended, is validation. So we're validating the information before it comes into the system. So validating the EDI order and comparing it to data points in Sage. Some common ones are ship to code, item code, pricing, inventory levels, things of that nature. That way, because again, unattended is great and all, but if you don't have safety nets to catch those exceptions, is what we call them, that's where it can cause issues for our clients, especially on the back end when they're sending back their ASN or their invoice. So specifically talking to the ScanForce MAPADOC integration is what Steve showed you. I mean, the EDI customers or EDI trading partners, depending on what terminology you use, in most cases the ASN or shipping side is the most complex. The requirements are typically the most detailed, so you need to tell them how you shipped, where you shipped it to, what was packed, tracking all that information. You may need to print labels, packing slips, things of that nature. And what ScanForce handled on the packing side, that's a huge component to automating the EDI side of things as well, because we have our own ASN module, and this is what integrates directly within, this is what automates directly with ScanForce. So as Steve showed you, as he sent the data back into the system, it comes directly into our ASN module. And if a customer, so if we have customers that are processing different fulfillment types, so direct to consumer, as in hitting Steve Showalter's front doorstep, or sending it to a distribution center, both are very different, but a lot of times they have the same type of requirements. So it's like distribution centers. Sometimes they require what's called UCC or UCC 128 labels or EDI labels. And so when information comes back into MAPADOC via ScanForce, we're going to auto print those labels as well in the format or based upon the requirements of that specific customer, if you was. Just like EDI requirements, everyone has different requirements within that. So as Steve showed you, what's going to happen is that information is going to come back into our edit, order, package, and label data module, and here it is, right? So it packed everything into the system, and now once we're able to process that, the data's packed, the information is there of how the customers want to see it, and now at this point, it's sending out the ASNs, and we do have ways of sending ASNs out one by one. But we do have this feature called ASN Auto Select that allows customers to send out the ASNs one by one or multiple ASNs at once. And you can use a range of selection criteria with a customer number, range of sales order numbers, you name it. But we also have this number. And one other thing before I pull this up is if tracking numbers are within Sage, we're able to pull the tracking numbers over as well. So they don't need to re-enter the tracking numbers over into our ASN module. And when we click this button here called multiple orders, this will show any open order that was sent back from ScanForce that our customers have not sent an ASN for us of yet. So I can come into here, hit the select function, and use my shift key and select, let's see, it's probably close to 80, I would have to say. Yeah, 80 exactly, wow. 80 shipments, and then when I click OK here and exit out of the screen, it'll ask me, do I want to create one ASN per order? And some customers require consolidated, which we certainly have the ability of doing as well. When I click yes here, that's what happens there is then it sends out the information directly to the trading partner. Meaning, once that information is sent out from MAPADOC, it builds it in a way that, translate into EDI requirements to how those specific customers want to see it. Because you can send ASNs customer by customer, you can send multiple customers at once. It does not matter. And where we really see the benefit from our clients is when they tie in that ScanForce integration to the MAPADOC ASN module. So they avoid the duplicate entry when it comes around with manual processes, not just on the EDI side, but the packaging detail as well. So that's really from a shipping side. Just real quickly, just so we have enough time around Q&A. Just from an invoicing side, is obviously we certainly want our customers to get paid by their customers, and so from an invoicing side, as we created the order, we created the shipment. From an invoicing perspective, where MAPADOC comes into play to send out invoices via EDI is once they post. So once our clients post their invoices in the system, whether that's multiple times a day, once a day, it does not matter. We're going to use that posting process as the trigger and look into those invoices that post. They do not need to be EDI versus non-EDI batches if clients are using batch processing. We'll look into the invoices that posted, identify if they are set up for, or the customer is set up for EDI. If they are, we're automatically going to send it out. So just like the ASN side, the order side, invoicing side, our model is to make sure that not just we have an integrated solution that's embedded in the Sage platform, and not just it's automated, we're able to put unattended functionality within it, so our clients do not need to intervene when there's not a need to, but also put safety nets in place for validation both on the inbound and validation both on the outbound as well. So that's what we really wanted to walk through here from a solution and day in the life around picking and what our clients are having to do from a warehousing and EDI perspective, and integrating those two and marrying those two together to show how we're able to streamline those processes for our clients. So with that, Darcy, I'm going to turn it back over to you from a presenter.
And hey, Bill, while you're doing that, one thing that you mentioned that you touched on that I forgot to mention also is that the integration ScanForce and MAPADOC have together also allows you to have it set so that when you're done on the ScanForce scanner with that order and sending it back, it can automatically trigger those ASN labels and packing lists to print from MAPADOC. So we have a setting that allows you to do that to just further streamline the process. So you're not sitting there waiting for somebody back at a PC to complete that and print out labels. You're there touching inventory, packing it up, boom, those labels, then print out that packing list. So you can really streamline that entire process.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a very good point. Especially depending on it, our clients have to print multiple labels per order, or there is multiple orders with multiple labels, and it can get pretty messy pretty quick.
Yep.
So I'm not seeing any questions actually, but we've got the contact information displayed here on the screen. And so if you're using ScanForce and you want to learn more about integrating with MAPADOC or vice versa, I'm sure you could reach out to either side and they'd be happy to connect with you and get you the help you need.
Great. And guys, this is Bill, and Darcy, thank you for moderating here, and everyone on, thanks for taking the time. I know everyone's busy. July is typically a month of vacation, so we appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedules.
Yeah, thanks on mine as well. This is Steve. Same thing that Bill just mentioned there, and unbelievably, we kept it within our half hour, Bill. So that's good.
Yes, I'm very impressed. Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, everyone.